This is Drop and Drop by the weekly podcast where a mix of gamers come together to talk all about video games. It has been just over a year since the Switch 2 was released. That's the word I'm looking for. I was going to say revealed, but I was like, no, that's not right. It's been just over a year since the Switch 2 was released, so we are going to review its first year in the market. Has it been good? Has it been bad? Has it been something in the middle? We're going to discuss it. I'm your host, Patrick. And dropping in this week, Jake Twitchin. Jake, how are you?
I'm doing so well. Happy to talk Nintendo as usual.
Oh, and also dropping in Jordan, aka Cognitive Clips, on the ones and twos tonight. Jordan,
on the ones and twos, yes. Kayla, you are correct. This is my first time hosting, so this is new territory for me. But I'm doing good, feeling good.
There you go. W new territory. Chancleta Mongu, it's been incredible. Y'all can end the episode now. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. This has been Drop and Drop. No, I'm just joking. Yeah, no. Well, like I said, we're going to be talking about that, but I want to talk a little bit about something else first. Jake, I think you have an announcement to make.
I am so excited for Ocarina of Time.
Hey, there we go. Ocarina of Time, very exciting. I was curious what would happen if I just put you on the spot with any sort of like build up or hint. If you would just like
Bit of a yes
heinous.
and guy.
You are a big improv guy, big yes and guy. No, we're going to start with just kind of high level thoughts, and then we're going to talk about first party releases, third party releases. We're going to kind of break down the Nintendo Directs, what we thought about them in the year, about the Switch, and look to the future, look ahead. Are we excited for the future of Switch 2? And, the three of us here on the podcast, I think within Dido's kind of core group, I think probably the three people that play Nintendo the most, minus Josh. I think Josh, here in spirit, hopefully will also be in the chat throughout the episode. But I think I feel good about the three of us having this conversation because I don't know about you two, gentlemen, but I have put an ungodly amount of time in my Switch 2 since launch on January 5th, 2025. Cog, you already said yes. Jake, do you agree? Have you been a Switch 2 fiend?
Yeah, it's been easily my most played console since that came out, and I play mostly console games, without a doubt.
You told me to get a Coke
embarrassing.
Oh, sorry. And I'm already burping so much from this Coke you made me get, Jake.
I am so glad you're drinking one.
It's not good. Sear says, wait, didn't it launch in June? Did I not say June? June 5th, 2025?
That's what I heard.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
Great. Why Patrick say January? Am I being gaslit right now? Because I'm believing it. Maybe I did say
That was
January.
a different conversation. January 6th, not 5th.
Yeah, there we go. Regardless. So we've established that all three of us have put a lot of time into the Switch 2. High level thoughts though. Are we happy with our Switch 2? I think the answer is obviously yes with the amount of time that we've put into it. But Jordan, overall, like high level, again, thoughts. Like what do you feel about the Switch 2 a year and some change in?
Yeah, I have been incredibly happy with it. Again, just keeping it high level, like the form factor is an improvement, the screen size is an improvement, the performance is an improvement, the availability of games is an improvement. So I truly could not be happier when it comes to like a step from a console generation to the next. Like I can't be happier with what Switch 2 has been offering so far.
Yeah, what about you, Jake?
I'm super into it. I think it's been a good year for me as an individual, so I'm happy with it. I do take a step back and look at it as like a non-Nintendo Freako and think that it is like a maybe average or slightly above average year. But for me individually, like high level, I am red hot on the console. Like I was the Switch and like I have been for every Nintendo console. Like I'm a bit of a freak.
Yeah, I've been surprised. Like I love the Switch 1. I think hours-wise, probably my most played console before now, and so much of it is the ease of how good it is portably because that's how it's designed. But even comparing it to other like only portable consoles, just because of the power of the Switch 1, and thus now even more power of the Switch 2. And later we'll get into the conversation about there's just so many more games on it now that it's getting a lot more third-party support. But I've been kind of surprised. Like there was a lull that I had at one point with the Switch 2 where it's like, oh, I feel like I've not really picked it up in a couple months. But other than that little lull, I feel like I've been surprised at how much I go to my Switch and how much I've been going to my Switch to play games that historically I would have played on the PlayStation 5, on the Steam Deck even, now that so many games work better on a Switch than they did in the past. It's like, oh, these indie games, I'm probably just gonna rock that on the Switch 2 versus the Steam Deck even, because also like you were saying, Jordan, the form factor of the Switch 2 is just so good. But I think for me to kind of jump into the first leg of the conversation with its first party releases, that's been a huge reason I've been playing it as much as I have, because I think it's been a pretty good year for first party. So just to run down a list right now, we had the GameCube Nintendo Classics as like a secondary thing. So I haven't spent a ton of time in the GameCube Nintendo Classics,
Me
but I
neither,
love that
actually.
it's there.
Yeah.
But Mario Kart World, Donkey Kong Bonanza, Kirby Air Riders, Mario Tennis Fever, Hyrule Warriors, Age of Imprisonment, Dragon Drive, Jake, Switch 2 Welcome Tour, Pokopia, and then most recently Yoshi and the Mysterious Book. And then on top of that, some upgrades of first party games: Kirby and the Forgotten Lands, Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, Mario Wonder Meetup in Bella Bell Park, Super Mario Party Jamboree, Pokemon Legends ZA, Animal Crossing New Horizons, and then Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. So like of that list, I have put pretty considerable time into like almost half of those games. Jordan, where are you at on like first party releases specifically from Nintendo this year?
I loved it. There's no point in like actually opening that link that I dropped in our like Discord to read them all out. But like on top of all those, there's also a probably a good dozen or more games that got like free patches that were like slight performance upgrades, like your Mario's and your Zeldas, for example, that weren't full on Switch 2 editions, but still did improve frame rates or improve performances or whatever else. But back to the actual question at hand. No, I have been really happy with it. I've put a whole lot of time into Mario Kart World, Bonanza, Pokopia especially. I've run through Metro Prime 4 2.5 times already in the first 6 months that's been out. So I've been very happy, and I think it's one of those things too for me where you can look at it from the lens of, even if it's not for me, I'm glad that it's there for somebody. Like I've never really gotten too big into Mario sports, but it's nice that it's there for the fans of Mario sports or Mario Tennis specifically even. And so I kind of feel like those, I want to say was it nine, I believe, nine Switch 2 exclusives. They kind of get a pretty good range of genres there on hand there.
Yeah, no, for sure. Jake, first party, where are you at?
Yeah, I think it's been strong. I've liked it again as a Nintendo Freako. I think that this console is missing its like killer app. It's been a long time since we've used that phrase.
Sure.
But
You don't think it's Donkey Kong Bonanza?
no. I mean, the sales speak for themselves. It's only at like
That's a
4
good point.
million copies or something like that,
That's a
if
good
I
point.
recall correctly. Donkey Kong's not, he doesn't have killer app capacity. He's not there. Mario does. Zelda does. I think that's it for Nintendo IP. And we don't have either of those that anchor this system in like a big way yet. And I think Ocarina of Time will be that. It's upon us. But not having that actual like massive game is kind of holding it back. The closest we have is like Tears of the Kingdom Definitive.
Yeah, because I mean, I don't know. I do feel like at first I was going to say, well, we have Mario Kart World. But I feel like Mario Kart World is one of those like constants in that like Mario Kart, it is a quote unquote killer app in that it's going to have almost a 1-to-1 attach rate for a console. Anytime
The
there's a
attach rate for
Mario Kart,
World is insane.
the attach rate's insane.
Really insane.
But I feel like it's almost like Mario Kart feels like a pack-in for a Nintendo console where like everyone's going to have it. Everyone's going to play it. But I feel like it's not the reason that someone's going to say, I'm going to go buy a Switch. Maybe I'm wrong. Do you guys disagree with that?
I see
If
where
it
you're
was
coming from.
better, I think it could be.
Yeah.
Like I feel like it's just a given in a default right now. I don't think that the conversation around Mario Kart World is like, go buy a Switch, you have to have the new Mario Kart. It's, oh, this is the current Mario Kart and that's what we play because that is the cultural thing to do with a Nintendo console for the last 2 decades.
Yeah, that's a good point. Jordan, what did you say
Just when? Sorry.
when I asked the question? You said it too, but Jake also, and I didn't catch your answer. Do you disagree that Mario Kart isn't like the killer app?
Yeah, I'm kind of on the same level as you guys were like the way you called it like a constant that that rings pretty true. Where
Yeah.
when you're gonna have a Nintendo console, you're gonna have Mario Kart at some point. Whether or not it's the reason you bought it is a different story, but you're probably going to have it
Yeah.
at some
'Cause
point
also-
during your ownership. And like
Right.
and to Jake's point too with killer apps, it's almost like my gut reaction just as a Nintendo like freako is like, but wait, and then I'm like, well, actually, I see what you're saying, because it's like the first party lineup, the ones that I've played have all been like very, very good and like very strong for like my gaming preferences, but it's almost like they're all one or two steps below a killer app. You know what I mean? Where it's like, you know, if you're looking for a 10, we've got like 4 8s for you.
Yeah.
Maybe an 8.5, which is good. That's not a bad thing, but it's,
sure.
to your point, it's not quite killer app level. And what I've seen a lot on social media, such as very popular site known as threads.com.
Very popular.
Actually, is it .net? I don't even know anymore. Nobody knows. It's a mystery. So many people after the Nintendo Direct have been like, shit, am I having to get a Nintendo Switch 2 now? Because that I cannot wait to play Ocarina of Time again, because that's my favorite game as a child, blah, blah, blah. Like, so many people who are either talking about it or are now announcing, like, okay, I finally did it after that Direct. So I think you're onto something there.
I thought I felt like, or not I thought I felt like, I felt like Pokopia was going to be that. I thought as Pokopia was being launched, how much like grip that had on social media. But then, as we've talked a little bit about before, like I feel like Pokopia kind of fell off a cliff. And that like once the hype kind of died off of Pokopia, once most people either hit credits or it was just like, okay, I've seen enough of Pokopia, myself included, where like Pokopia at the moment is in my number one spot for game of the year, but it's not going to stay there. And as I play more games, as I play the James Bonds of the world, I keep asking myself, do I like this more than Pokopia? And I don't know yet, but it's like that. I feel like now we have Pokopia, we have Mario Kart World, we have Donkey Kong Bonanza. There's a lot of reason to buy a Switch 2, but I feel like there isn't that reason for the person that doesn't listen to a podcast like this to say, I have to have the Switch 2. And I agree with you, Jordan. I think Ocarina will be that first game to be like, okay, it's time for me to get in, because not only will there be Ocarina of Time, but we also have all these games that we're already talking about.
I wonder, there's a couple stipulations with this comment, but I want to start it with, who would have known a year ago that what would be considered one of the closest things to a killer app would be Pokopia? I think that's miraculous. I think that's fucking crazy. And for that game to exist and then be as good as it is interesting. But it also brings up a point where, what is the killer app for each individual? And for a pretty big subset of gamers, it's turned out, Nintendo has become the home for the cozy game. There's a lot of people that are Animal Crossing freakos that are eating really good in this first year of the Switch. And I've been lucky enough to have some like content that has broken out of the like four walls of like content creation, if you will, and seen the reception to games like Pokopia and Tamagotchi Life and Animal Crossing Nintendo Switch 2 edition.
That should be in
well,
there.
here's the thing, and that's the
It's not a Switch
stipulation that
2.
I was talking about. It's not a Switch 2 game.
Oh, that's
that is a
right.
Nintendo Switch 1 game. It doesn't even have a Switch 2 version.
That's
I would say it's likely a shoo-in for a decent update with Switch 2, because the fact that that game launched with no mouse controls is crazy.
Yeah.
6 months, 9 months into the life cycle of the Nintendo Switch 2. But it's just all to say, though, is that those experiences in a vacuum are huge for somebody that is really into Stardew Valley, I would even maybe put like Minecraft in here in a lot of ways, like their survival mode. Like there's just a certain gamer who's eating really, really fucking well that's outside of the hardcore Nintendo gamer who just buys anything Zelda Mario.
That's a really good point. I have a friend in my life that couldn't ever be bothered to listen to a podcast. She just likes to play games every now and then, and had put like 1,000 hours into Animal Crossing. And when Pokopia launched, she was texting me and Rose. It was like, I think I'm gonna get a Switch 2 for Pocopia. Is that a good idea? And at the time, I was so fucking locked in on Pocopia. I was playing like 11 hours a day. I was like, "You have to get it. You're gonna fucking love it." And she did, just for Pocopia. And
Yeah.
then she didn't love it as much as she thought she would. But since then, there's been other games like Lego Party, which is also on the Switch 1. But like things like that have been like, oh, now that I'm re-engaged in a Nintendo console, there's so much for me to play and so much for me to do. And I need to ask her specifically if she's gotten it on Tomodachi Life, because I feel like that would probably also be her bag.
Well,
But that's a good point, Jake, that like the cozy gamer eats on the Switch too.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
Patrick, I was wondering also like that Pocopia may not have moved so many units, but the Switch 2 is such a weird beast, and that like for all intents, for all we know, as far as like rumors and incredible sources and stuff, it seems like they intentionally delayed the release or the launch of the Switch 2 until they knew they had a good enough backlog to actually meet demand. And so there wasn't this whole like thing where people couldn't get one, so they had to wait and then wait for it to be available and then wait for a game on top of all that. It was like, oh, if you wanted a Switch 2, like maybe you couldn't find it the first week, but the way they were replenishing stocks, at least in my neck of the woods,
I agree.
like it wasn't like whenever I was getting a PS5, like I was one of those like lucky few who just got that random email from Sony like, hey, you were randomly selected to if you want to buy a PS5, you better be on PlayStationDirect.com on this within this 30-minute window or screw you. And so like I do wonder sometimes if like the lack of a killer app, so to speak, is mitigated by the fact that so many people could already get one if they wanted to, and they didn't have to wait for that because they knew one was going to be coming after. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, for sure. I agree. Jake, what were you gonna say?
I just think as far as availability goes, it's been very interesting for messaging that I've seen in my bubble with Pocopia's exclusivity got the messaging out there of like, oh, you need a Switch 2. It's like the biggest exclusive that I can think of that has like moved units visibly as far as like social media goes, where people are like, I bought this for this. And then that messaging seems to have been so widespread and so strong that I've seen it trickle down into Tomodachi, where a lot of people, when that game came out, they immediately were in the comment section saying, I think I have to get a Switch 2 between this and Pocopia. I need both of these. And there was a lot of people being like, no, you can play this on Switch 1. And people were like, what? You can? And it's like, oh, we're already accelerated to that point of like the Switch 2 is in people's heads as, ooh, look at this game and this game and this game that's available to it. And one of the things that I wanted to like push this conversation into before we get too far on it is we also, during the first year of the Nintendo Switch 2, although we are locked into the price for that entire calendar year, they did announce that the price is going up within that calendar year, which is set to increase in, I think, September.
Yep.
But that was announced, a good month ago or 2 months, a little while ago now at this point. And I'm not sure if that measurably moved the needle at all. And that's kind of been the basic talking point on like current generation consoles, where like at this point the best time to buy an Xbox or a PlayStation or at this point a Switch 2 was the day that it came out. Like it's the best deal that you could have gotten. Everything else has now gone up in price for the first time ever in a console generation. And
It's so fucked.
oh yeah, it's completely fucked, and it's an indicator of what's going on in the world at large at the same time.
It was pretty soon after they announced that price increase was coming. They also were like, whether you want to look at this from the lens of this is a weird, like, greedy shtick to almost like convince you that it was a sale, or whether it is like, benevolent, say what you will. But right after that, they were like, okay, so now we actually offer a bundle where it's not only Mario Kart World, you get to choose between Mario Kart World, Donkey Kong Bonanza, or Pocopia as your pack-in, digital title. So like, and to my knowledge, that's still running, and it probably will continue to run up until that price increase in the next couple months. And so, again, I've played all three. I believe all three of us have played all three. I speak pretty highly on all three of those for different reasons and to different extents. So like, yeah, if you waited this long to get one and you want to beat that price increase, then no time like the present, guys.
Yeah, I mean, of that specific list, not looking at the upgrades, but just the actual games that have been released, I've played all but 2 of them. I didn't play Hyrule Warriors, Age of Imprisonment, and I didn't play the Switch 2 Welcome Tour.
Why not?
But I did play Mario Kart, Donkey Kong, Oh, sorry, no, I didn't play Kirby Air Riders either.
Yeah.
But really, of those games, the only ones that have really like kind of been a disappointment to me were, and like they were a disappointment because they didn't like blow my skirt up, is Yoshi and the Mysterious Book and Mario Tennis Fever. Where like I'm having an okay time with Yoshi and the Mysterious Book. It's not bad. It's just like not the best game I've ever played. And Mario Tennis Fever had the thing that most Mario sports games have, where I had a good 5-10 hours of fun, and I've not touched it since then. And I was hoping that it would like break through. But I feel like otherwise, I've had such a good time with every other game on that list. I'm excluding Dragon Drive. Me and Jake fling at a wrist. But other than that, like not much. But then looking ahead, so we're gonna have like a bigger look ahead conversation. But looking ahead just at first party games, and also.
Don't get excited for the third world games.
Stop it. I was trying to look through the list to see, did I read the word world? And I didn't. I just instead of a flick of the wrist, a slip of the mouth. Right. But the first party games that are coming up.
What that mouth do?
I'll tell you. We got Star Fox next week. We have Splatoon Raiders, Fire Emblem, Fortune's Weave, Nintendo Switch Sports Resort, Orbitals, Duskbloods, Ocarina of Time Remake, Xenoblade Chronicles Genesis, and Pokemon Wind and Waves. Winds and Waves. Waves and Winds. Fuck me. Those are all that are like on the docket we know either have a year or a date. Though the last like 3 of them were 2027 specifically. But also knowing that is the runway for the Switch 2 is like, that's when I started to be like, okay, this is really strong. Like thinking about a year and a half, 2 years into the Switch's console, pound for pound, one of the strongest libraries before you even consider its third-party shit. Any disagreement there?
It's insane. It is actually insane. And like is this a good moment to just touch on the other launches
Just
for
whatever you're
first
gonna
year?
touch on.
Yeah. We don't have to go into all the titles, but like I kind of looked it up, and I believe in the first calendar year of PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series, between both systems had like 9 console exclusive titles.
Yeah.
That like weren't cross-gen. Maybe went to PC because Xbox puts everything on PC. But like both of those other 2 systems combined equaled the Switch 2's output for the first year, as far as just like first-party console exclusives. But then, like you said, you're adding this next 6 months of like Fire Emblem, and which looks to be all accounts a continuation of some sort from Three Houses, which is
The
wildly
Fire Emblem
popular.
fans look to be fucking feasting with that game.
Yes, absolutely.
Dude,
I am
that main
rabid.
character Theodora is like the baddest baddie that Nintendo has ever had in a first party game. She got
about
that shit
Lita?
going.
What about Lita, dude? The musician?
What you know about Lita, bro?
Whatever, bro.
Theodora. Team Theodora.
Dear Theodora. That's only for Kate Blossom, by the way.
Theodora the Explorer. How about that? Write that down.
Sure. Okay. I agree though, Jake, with that. Or Jake didn't say it. Jordan said it. That I'm a Sony pony. I fucking love Sony. They're my go-to. Yes, Sir Dr. James. That was Theodosia. Not a very good rendition, but I did my best. I was the first in line saying that the PlayStation 5's first like year and a half was dog shit. Even like I was like you, Jordan. I was lucky I got it day one, and like I was playing games that I had no interest in because I was so just like ravenous to be playing this new console that I had. And I was playing PS4 games because I just wanted to be playing them on my new console. And I've not had that problem really with Switch 2. I mean, I've certainly been playing older games, or like Hades 2, my most played game so far on Switch 2, which I could have played on the PC. Now I can play on the PlayStation or the Xbox, but it's definitely not only been the PlayStation or the Nintendo games, that I've been playing, but the fact that there's been so many Nintendo games. I feel like the Switch 2 console in the modern era launch is like the launch to beat, I think.
Yeah,
It's
and like
safe to say.
I do want to be clear, like even though like Nintendo is just generally for my whole life been like my preferred system, like I am absolutely not like hating on playing, older system games on the new system, like, because obviously we just talked about like Switch 2, they had plenty of like Switch 2 editions. Like cross gen's good, it's good for getting that existing fan base satiated while they save up their precious earnings to get the new system and all that stuff. And like I think that's what a new system should be, is like, yeah, you're getting it for the new experiences, but you're also getting it to be like, hey, like this was really good last time I played it, but now it's going to be like really, really good with like the higher fidelity or the higher frame rate or whatever else. Like I do like a good glow up. So
For sure.
I just want to put that on the record. Patrick.
The record reflects that. Thank you very much. The minutes have been taken.
Yes.
A couple things from the chat before I move to our next little topic. First, Swanky Joinkers, some of us know very well here on this podcast, asks,
Squay
Squay J is very good.
Right.
Did you just come up with Squay J?
Yes.
That might be your best
Is
word.
great. Yeah.
Thank you.
Will a Switch 2 make my stepson love me more than his deadbeat dad? I think the answer probably is yes. Jake, what do you think?
Probably. Yeah.
Right?
It goes crazy.
Yeah, it goes crazy.
It's a non-zero chance. We'll leave it at that. I mean,
Yeah. Jordan, what would you say to that question?
like I said, like non-zero chance, man. Like
I see that
you,
you're that
you
way.
got you got nothing to lose. Just give it a shot. See what
Yeah,
happens.
yeah.
And
Perry
if
in
your
the chat-
stepson still hates you, then you could get to keep it.
That's maybe something you're doing. Perry responds saying, yes, can confirm I'm a stepson who now loves their stepdad more than their deadbeat dad because he got me a Switch 2. So we have evidence in the chat. But then Chocolate Mongu also says in this conversation, I think there's also a certain mystique behind playing ports on the Switch 2 that either perform better than the OG Switch or were never on them to begin with. Feels good to see Nintendo catching up there. That's a good point. I can't think of one off the top of my head, but there have been games that I have played on the Switch 2 that I remember struggling with on Switch 1, that and it was like, oh, this is nice that like I can actually play this game happily on my Switch 2 now. But no, like I said, no examples are immediately coming to mind. Do either of you have one that you had that experience with?
I mean, I dumped a ton of fucking time into a bunch of Nintendo Switch 2 editions. Just looking at like my recently played ones, I jumped back into Mario Wonder when that one dropped. I put 60 hours into Tears of the Kingdom on basically Switch 2 launch.
Nice.
Another 45 hours into Animal Crossing New Horizons Switch 2 edition. And I think that's it for like the big Switch 2. Oh, I'm playing Xenoblade now, which
Yeah,
counts.
me too.
I got him before the wire.
Yeah.
Me too.
Actually, I haven't downloaded the Switch 2 edition yet, but I did re-download the base version. So I think we're all aligned.
We're aligned.
But and Jake, to that point, like with Animal Crossing specifically, they did that so well with not only adding more content for the Switch 2 edition, they also gave a lot of the free content to the Switch 1 version. But on top, like that was one of the quintessential ones where like you want to play this on the Switch 2 because the load times were so abysmal on the Switch 1. Like that's the one where you fire it up from the main menu and you go make some coffee. Make a coffee, come back.
For sure.
And if you're lucky, maybe it's ready to play. Like, so to have the Switch 2 version actually, have load speeds that, weren't going to, take the entire afternoon was a blessing.
Any loaders? I agree with the load times, especially. I will say that sometimes, every so often, I'll be like, oh, I'm surprised that this is loading still, but it's very rare on the Switch, especially because I play, I would say 95% in handheld mode. I feel like Jake, you're maybe more of a docked guy.
Yeah, I have played 99.9% in docked mode. I played on one plane ride maybe, and then I pulled it out to like do some Tamagotchi life, like stylus work. And end of list. I am always playing it there.
Well, Tomodachi stylus work.
Rim job.
Jared, what's your split between docked and not?
Hello, I'm Jarden. I think I may be like a 55 mobile, 45 docked kind of situation. And that's
55
more
mobile.
55 mobile. With my setup with, having the kiddos and stuff, like sometimes if we're all just hanging out upstairs and maybe one kiddo's playing the OG Switch and we're all just chilling on the couch, like I'll go ahead and grab the Switch 2 and also join in on the festivities of not talking to each other while we look at screens.
Sure.
And then, other times you want it to be either because it's going to have that increased fidelity or because it's just that time to put on the TV.
Yeah,
But
for sure.
yeah, I do a lot of handheld. I take it on like every trip that I can. If it's like a work trip, that's my airplane time sync.
Yeah, I got this thing for my long plane ride a few weeks ago from a company called
Tesla.
I can't find
Bad
it.
Dragon.
No, not Tesla or Bad Dragon, thankfully. But it's a
How many-
clip that you attach to the tray in front of you on a plane, and then you can have your Switch like hanging like a TV on your the seat in front of you, and just have your like Joy-Cons, or if you want to bring the Pro controller or whatever. And I played so much Switch like that on the flight. It was so fucking good. If anybody's interested in that, let me know in Discord. dropitdropitpod.com, join the Discord, and I will find the company. I don't think Ryan
Use code
Selvey is here.
Dido at checkout.
Exactly. I don't think Ryan Selvey's here. Ryan Selvey's the one that told me about it. So if you are
What game did you
lurking,
play
Ryan-
for the entire plane to see?
Oh, excuse me. God damn. I played
That's
a
good
lot
for
of
the
mouse
podcast.
PI for hire. I know it happened so fast I couldn't mute myself. I played a lot of PI mouse PI for hire. I played some of Yoshi and the Mysterious Book on that plane ride, and then there was one other thing. It was pre Xenoblade. Doesn't matter. Mostly it was mouse PI for hire. I put maybe 10 hours into mouse PI for hire.
You know what I'm gonna do?
Yeah.
I'm gonna get that clip and I'm gonna pick Theodora in the new Fire Emblem. And I'm
Yeah?
gonna let the whole plane take a little peek.
I mean, it's not a bad idea.
Jake's gonna hang it up there,
Wax
but not have Joy-Cons in his hand.
I played almost
right.
the entirety of Wax Heads as well on that
Nice.
flight. Good game.
As a
okay. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say just real quick, it's my brand, Metroidvania Freako. Whether it's actually replaying Metroid Dread for the millionth time, or in the case of my most recent trip, I had bought Mio Memories in Orbit for the Switch 2, despite having it on Steam already, because just those 2D Metroidvanias just beg to be played in a handheld, and 2D games in general, just they play so great in handheld.
me. Okay.
And it was. You started.
I started it. I know how you did. I started it.
But no, it was.
Discussing with his own bit.
I didn't moan. I just begged.
What
And
have
then you-
I become?
Jesus.
But no, that it was so great to just have that like in
Can we talk
handheld
about
on
the
the
first
plane.
world
Just-
again, please?
Yeah, finally.
I'm
the
sorry,
first
Jordan.
world
That was
needs more attention. We don't talk enough
Listen,
about it.
I got a rare time where I'm going to side with Cog about Metroidvanias. Get ready,
Oh?
clip it. I'm with you. I have not much Metroidvania experience, but nearly all of it was on the Game Boy Advance. There's something about a portable, like if you're like on a plane or you're stuck and you're really trying to like kill time and dive into a gaming session. I spent so much time on Castlevania Aria of Sorrow, so much time in Metroid Fusion, Castlevania Harmony of Dissonance, Castlevania Circle of the Moon. I got there.
Circle of
Just
the Moon.
really Circle of the Moon. Really, really good games to play in a handheld form. I'm with you. And on a Nintendo system at that.
Yeah, for
Can
sure.
I ask you guys a question?
Yeah.
This is a real question, not a bit. And I'm being vulnerable. Do you guys think we landed on the moon?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And do you?
I don't know. I have my questions. I have
All
my
right.
questions.
Hold on. Let's keep this going.
I'm just
think,
saying
like,
I have my questions.
Hollywood set? Do you think it was like 2001 A Space Odyssey?
I don't know. I just have my questions. It's like all this stuff happening right now with Artemis. They're like, we're going to finally make it to the moon. What do you mean finally? I thought we did that.
I think they're saying they're finally going to return to the moon because no one has landed
They
on the
didn't
moon.
say the word return. Could they have a whole entire PR team. Why didn't they say the word return, Jordan? I'm just saying. I wonder if the good folks at Artemis, are they good? I don't know.
The PR team was too busy fielding all the questions about why they somehow had half of a class of astronauts be women, but only none of them were selected to be on Artemis 3. That was probably their
Can I
PR's
be
focus.
vulnerable?
Yeah. He's gonna say, "What's Artemis?"
Is the SpaceX stuff NASA like or nah?
SpaceX
some of it
is
is-
SpaceX, right?
So SpaceX is technically its own thing, but they have like joint missions with NASA for things like resupplies to the ISS. That's not ISIS, Twitter, Twitch, whatever. ISS, International Space Station, which does exist and is in orbit around the Earth. But it's technically its own separate thing, but they do have conjoint missions.
Word.
Yep.
Perfect. We probably went to the moon.
Thank you. We probably did, but we're not 100% certain.
It does seem crazy that everything seems really complicated in outer space, and it feels crazy that 50 years ago or something, we went all the way to the moon and then came back, and it was a massive W.
And now it's so hard to go to the moon in 2026. I don't know. We have apparently unlimited money, and yet I don't know.
You're also
maybe we stumbled our way there, and now we're scared because it's we're just probably gonna go bad if we do it again.
Because what if this is just a what if, Jake? What if we just planned it to say we won against the Russians? I'm just asking the question.
That's literally a talking point in the intro of Interstellar.
I'm just saying. A mid movie, by the way.
Let me explain to you how a black hole works.
You pronounced one of the best movies of all time incorrectly on your own podcast.
Yeah,
but
Midster Stellar. Nah, I forced that. That's what
nice.
Yeah,
no, that plays.
Thank you. Okay, so moving on back to the Switch, and if we want to stick on space talk, I'm ready to do a podcast within a podcast. Colemine says Jordan unleash the fucking filibuster about Interstellar, I think specifically. I want to talk about other notable releases, so non-first party. I don't know that there's much second party, or if that's even really a thing anymore. But this list that I have in front of me, a lot of this is from launch, and then some of it since launch. Bravely Default, Flying Fairy HD, Sonic Cross Shadows Generation. Do we say Cross X? What do we say, Jake?
I've been told you don't pronounce it. Just Sonic Shadow Generations.
Okay.
Then
Sonic
why is
Shadow
it there?
Generations.
Stupid.
That's my actual filibuster. What's the X? Why is it pronounced
Stupid.
4 different ways?
Yeah, it's fucked. It's very fucked. Hogwarts Legacy, Yakuza 0 Director's Cut, Cyberpunk 2077, Persona 3 Reload, Little Nightmares 3, Star Wars Outlaws, Street Fighter 6. I did some abbreviations, and I'm like, what do these abbreviations stand for? Assassin's Creed Shadows, Octopath Traveler 0, Final Fantasy 7 Remake, Dragon Quest 7 Reimagined, Resident Evil 7, 8, and Requiem, South of Midnight, Pragmata, and Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. Which, when you compare that list to Switch One's non-first party list, that is already basically double, which in its own way is a W. But then knowing something that we'll talk about this more later, but something that has started to grind my gears a little bit is how much they're showing old games at directs of oh, this old game is also now coming to Switch 2. But as put a pin in that. Okay. But in general, it's great that the library is this big, and that we are, in addition to the thing that we'll talk more about later, we're seeing so many games launch day and date on Switch. Onimusha Way of the Sword, Pragmata, Resident Evil Requiem. In a way, something we've not seen for a Nintendo console since the GameCube, really, of games launching everywhere at the same time, if they're going to launch everywhere in that regard. Any detractors about non-first party games so far? Jake, you made a face.
You forgot a non-first party game. I only have two. I believe I only have two non-first party games that I've played. That's not true. I got some other bullshit in here. I chose this system for Cyberpunk's DLC and stuff like that. But there are two notable ones that I played, and one of them is in fact a Switch 2 exclusive. May I talk to you about Tokyo Scramble?
Yes, you may. And my deepest apologies for skipping it.
Thank you.
Well, in your defense, you were looking at first-party exclusives, I believe, when you made your list.
No. Third party.
No, this is non-first party. I'm looking at...
this counts.
Yeah.
This is a perfect place for Tokyo Scramble.
I got myself confused. This is a me problem. You continue,
yeah,
Jake.
Sure.
You continue.
So Tokyo Scramble is one of the few Nintendo Switch 2 exclusive games developed completely by a third party. Seemingly, I have no idea why they chose Switch 2 to be the only console to get it. But this game is a piece of shit. It's really bad. And truly one of my most fond memories of playing a game on Nintendo Switch 2. Very, very interesting title, and a true enigma at this point as far as like the marketing. It was in like a Nintendo Direct, I think twice, maybe like an Indie World showcase and then a Nintendo Direct again right upon its launch. Then it came out, terrible reviews, terrible gameplay, very funny, absolutely addictive. I sat there on stream expecting to stream like 2 hours of it, and we streamed for 9 hours and beat the game in one sitting. And it's one of the most baffling gaming experiences that I've ever been a part of.
I think my favorite thing about Tokyo Scramble is that it sounds like something I'd order at IHOP. Like, Jordan's going to get the Rudy Tooty Fresh and Fruity, Jake's getting the split breakfast, and I'm going to take the Tokyo Scramble, please. It's just like, it's something that it feels like a menu item of a fun egg dish that has like some sesame oil or something in it.
Do you know
wouldn't
the
assume
actual
that it's a
like,
dinosaur game?
right?
Sure.
You would not know that it was a dinosaur game based on that name at all.
Absolutely not.
Do you know the actual like what nomenclature, I guess, for that?
For what?
For
Tokyo
Scramble?
No.
It's like a Shibuya Crossing, right?
Yes, yeah, it should be a crossing. They call it a scramble because I guess it's something about the way that there's like so many intersections at one point. They call it a scramble, and I believe that that's where the game takes place. Is like the subway is gone underground, right, Jake? And then like so it's like underneath the scramble.
Yes.
I'm not saying it's a good
dumbass-
name. I'm just saying like I learned something when I looked it up.
For sure. My dumbass thought you were asking the etymology of an egg scramble. And I was like, well, I think it's just because you scramble them.
I don't know.
Crazy with it.
And then we
I think it had to do with the Russians, and we beat the Russians to the scramble. So
That's
saying.
the space
Could
scramble,
be.
famously.
Could be.
the moon is
So,
an
yeah, no,
egg.
I think ultimately what I'm most excited about in terms of the Switch 2's first year is how many big games we are getting day and date launch.
Yes.
That are third party. We can easily disagree about how much marketing they're putting into, this 7-year-old game is now on the Switch 2 that in theory should have been on the Switch 1, but the Switch 1 wasn't good enough. Put that aside, the fact that we're getting so many huge AAA games, like I honestly really strongly considered just picking up Resident Evil Requiem at launch on the Switch 2. But then I was like, I have the PS5 Pro. I want to like get the best bang for my buck in that way, fidelity wise. But I think like Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag Resynced, I don't know if it's coming out on Switch 2 day and date, but if it is, that's where I'm getting it because it's going to be such a fun game to be able to play in handheld mode while I'm watching fucking Widow's Bay or whatever.
Yeah.
Jordan.
And the thing for that for me, again, we'll get to the direct part of it later, but just like it's been great for me because there were some games that I just have missed out on. Like I had the opportunity to play them, I just never did. And so, for example, like once I think it was actually during the big reveal on like April 2nd or whatever, and they showed that Final Fantasy VII Remake was coming to Switch 2, and I was like, fine, I think this is finally gonna be the time where like I played like a part of a demo on the PS4, maybe the 5, and like I've just been like not doing it, but I just keep hearing so many good things, and I've never played the original, and fine, it's on Switch 2, it's handheld, it's whatever else, I'm gonna pick it up, and guess what? I had a blast.
Hell yeah.
And I have
Have you started Rebirth?
I have started it on Steam. I didn't actually pick it up on Switch 2 this time because I knew that like and I'm sure we'll touch on it eventually, so we'll just go and rip the Band-Aid. Like, yes, it may not be like 100% one-to-one as far as performance is concerned. I'm not a gamer who cares that deeply about that personally, because I
Listen
do.
here. I'm not the kind of gamer that cares about that one-to-one experience, okay?
Well, I'm saying like some people care more about that than I do, and that's their
Fidelity-wise, you mean,
prerogative.
like,
Yeah,
the frame
yeah.
rates and shit like that.
And so, like, yeah, with, some people probably balked or roll their eyes at Remake having a 30 FPS cap on the Switch 2. Like, I don't care about that. It ran very, very well. There was, like, maybe one hiccup across my 45 hours that I played, and it was, like, not even that big of a deal. It lasted, like, 2 seconds, and it was done. You know what I mean? So, like, if you're like me and you just kind of value the portability factor over the, like, getting every last voxel and pixel and ray trace out of your experience, then like you are going to be more than happy picking up a third-party release, whether it's a day and date new release or it's a 7-year-old game getting getting a long overdue port. So that's
Jake,
kind of my
as
take.
short,
Oh, go ahead, Jake. Sorry.
In short, third-party releases on Switch 2, really great if you're not a fucking nerd.
Very good. Speaking of being a fucking nerd, Jake, so you love Final Fantasy. You're a sicko, especially 7. Your favorite game of all time. You've said before you hope everybody gets the Final Fantasy 7 remake treatment of their favorite franchise because you've gotten it yourself.
Yes.
Is Final
Nicest
Fantasy
thing he's
7
ever said, by the way.
That's probably true. At least about people. Final Fantasy VII Remake, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, eventually Final Fantasy VII Afterbirth. Are these games that you would pick up on Switch 2 or no? No.
No, I don't see if there was an advantage to playing them on Switch 2, I would do it. If I played games in handheld mode, I would do it. I am actually in Cog's boat as far as like I'm not a fucking nerd. I can just hang out and play it in a little bit lesser quality and have a great time.
Yeah.
Like the problem is though is that like there's no advantage to buying that for me. Like I wouldn't go out of my way to experience it on a different console at this point. I would just, by default go and have the best version of it that I can. Even though it's not a priority, why not if I have it on PC already, you might just play it again on PC.
You're
And
not
especially
really
if
the
it's like
kind of gamer-
your favorite franchise too. Like I definitely have like lines that I'll draw on the sand when it comes to that kind of things. Like if
I'm
it's like
very fickle with my favorite franchises and stuff. Where like I have not bought a Final Fantasy collector's edition of anything or digital deluxe edition of anything outside of like early access to a game. I'm very uninterested in that. I would rather spend the money that I've saved on the last 3 Final Fantasy collector's editions on a statue of Tifa. You know what I mean? Like I am not a person who's like, well, they released Kingdom Hearts on the new console, I got to get it on the new console, and then have each version of Kingdom Hearts stacked up. I'm like, oh yeah, I got Kingdom Hearts on PlayStation Plus or whatever. It's downloaded digitally. My PS4 version is fine.
Yeah, because you're in the same boat as Cog on fidelity, but I don't think you're in the same boat as Cog of like I will play my favorite game wherever I want to and I will buy it again. That's not really, you don't really replay games much, do you? Unless it's specifically for a stream.
Yeah, that's entirely true. I'm not into repurchasing and having that experience unless it's different. You can sucker me in very easily if you're like here's a terrible thing. If right now you told me, Jake, money is no object, I don't care where you own it, where's the best place to play Elder Scrolls V Skyrim? I would say the Nintendo Switch so I can dress up as Link in that fuck-ass tunic.
Sure.
Cool as hell, dude.
Yeah?
yeah.
That's very good. Go ahead.
I would say it has been a very interesting thing for me. So I don't know. I can't remember exactly when it was, but some point like pretty soon, within a couple months of the Switch 2's launch, is when I sold my PS5 to friend of the show Eric the Human, and that left me with gaming at the time, gaming laptop, now gaming actual PC desktop and Switch 2. And so I'm in this position now where sometimes I will get a game on Steam first because I know that we're making content for it, or I'm making content for my channel individually or whatever else. But then when the time comes that I want to possibly replay it because it's like a lull and new releases, or because I'm going on a trip or whatever else, I'm like, I guess I'll spend the extra $20 to get it again on Switch 2. And like, is that a viable thing? Maybe not, but it's a thing that I do.
Hey.
Listen, if you want to talk about like unviable things, the most toxic thing that I have thought about doing, I mean, this is a toxic trait in the first place. Like I have a very unique situation where I'm basically living in 2 places currently, and have been for a while. But like, I own 2 PlayStation 5s, and I own an Xbox Series X and an Xbox Series S, and I am looking real close at that Nintendo Switch 2 dock.
Well, I mean, comparing it to the other, I mean, that's a lot easier of a purchase than the other.
I agree, but it's like there's just barely a bridge. I think it's $150.
It's a 150,
Switch
really?
2
I thought it was
dock.
100. Oh wow.
I think
Maybe
it's
that was
more.
the
It might be
original.
one. I'd be more inclined. I'm guessing 120 or 150. I don't think it's $99. I think if it's $99, I would pull the trigger. I would
I
press
feel
the
like
button.
though to be clear, because I see some people in chat are surprised that you have 2 consoles. You also live in 2 states for considerable periods of time. So like if I lived that life, I probably would also buy another console and not like have a second bag of all my games I want to bring, because
Dude,
I would want to
it's-
bring all my games.
There's just no place to draw the line when I'm like streaming and gaming, and console gaming is such a big part of my streaming. It is like the thought of the more stuff that I need to bring from one setup down to the other to keep consistent started to become so massive that I was like, I need to cut down on this. I need a camera for here, and I need a computer for here, and I need a mic for here. and I need a PlayStation for here, and I should get an Xbox for here for Game Pass, and I should get a Switch 2 dock. Like, it just is a slippery slope, man.
And you need a Tifa for here and a Cuck Mario for here.
I fear I do have a Tifa, and no, it's Cuck Luigi up north.
Yeah, right, for sure.
Jake, I cannot even tell you how many times I've been so tempted to get a Switch game for like buy a second version of a Switch game, just because I don't feel like taking Tomodachi Life out of what is now my kid's Switch OLED and putting it back into my Switch 2, or God forbid, picking up the Switch OLED and playing it on there instead. Like,
do you remember when your kids changed your Switch Online username to Daddy?
yes.
And then I was streaming, and all of a sudden, in the top corner of my screen, it just says Daddy is online. It's like, what the
That is
fuck?
so good.
Who is Daddy?
There have been multiple times, really quickly, that
Yeah.
I have considered changing my name, because there was a time I did something similar to that to Jake while he was streaming. Like, I sent him a message.
Tell
or
that
whatever.
one.
I don't even remember what I said. Do you remember what I said?
I know exactly what it said because we stumbled upon the clip like
That's right.
a week and a half ago.
But
It was-
You say that in a second, because just to finish the thought, there have been multiple times I've thought to do that just to fuck with Jake, because I love fucking with Jake in his stream, and I'll be like, God, his kid already did it. Like that, I can't top the joke. Like it's been done before. But remind me, what did I say in your stream from?
Dude,
I think it was Xbox.
No, it was PlayStation,
It was.
and it was during I think it was during Astrobot or something. Like, it was a long time ago. I remember I was on the PlayStation dashboard waiting for something to come out, I want to say. And we were about to launch, and I was doing a YouTube intro, and then all of a sudden just popped up on my screen, message from P-Swag, come in me.
Especially the first 4 months that I knew you, I was especially diabolical in your chat, because also your chat was having lots of big reactions to the more unhinged I was, which
Correct.
I'm a performer. I love when people
Yeah,
love
yeah,
what
yeah.
I'm doing. So I would,
You can say theater kid, it's fine.
I can say theater kid. So then I would, donate as Kobe Bryant from the helicopter.
Yes.
Jeez. Which is in poor taste, but
Keep up the good work, playa. I believe.
I think I said looking down on you from above.
Oh God. It feels morally questionable to continue the story about my kids after you just said all those things, but I will anyway.
Speaking of people having babies or whatever the fuck.
Right. God
Speaking
damn.
of giving birth,
Fuck.
it was one of these moments where I was getting frustrated because again it was changing. He was changing the profile name on the Switch 1, but it's the same login or the same profile across systems or whatever. So it was changing it on my Switch 2, and I was getting kind of frustrated. Buddy, you can change my picture. Just please stop changing my name, dude. Come on. And then I had one of those moments as a parent of oh wait a second, because he'd made profiles for other people in the family, and he just wanted everybody to have the mommy or his cousin's name, and I was like, okay, I'm Daddy Cog from now on. I'm gonna own it. Sorry, bud. We can keep it now.
Yeah. Hey, that good on you for not crushing his dreams.
Nah. That comes later.
Yeah, for sure. College right around the corner. I want to move on to the directs of year one. We can, I guess, include the Switch 2 announcement direct, since that's related to the Switch 2. But I'm a little more interested specifically in the directs post-launch of new games being announced, which a lot of them, we've talked about, because Nintendo is usually pretty good about announcing stuff relatively close to launch. They have their outliers, their Duskbloods. But even with Ocarina, they're saying it's coming later this year. So normally they're pretty good about that. Yeah. But Jake, I'd like to start with you, because actually, I think I have an idea of what you think about this, just from thinking through past because typically we're breaking down directs on content. But how do you feel about year one of Switch 2 directs?
It's been a good year for the weirdos. And it's this goes hand in hand with the conversation that we opened with on this subject of for a Nintendo Freako, it's really good. No killer app, but I'm the person who I got Tomodachi Life and Rhythm Heaven announced on the same fucking Nintendo Direct. Are you kidding me? That's insane. Again, both Switch 1 games, but Switch 2 gets a lot of credit for similar things. Seeing things like Pokopia become an exclusive, than being as popular as it is. Seeing even like stuff like Mario Tennis is really interesting, I think, because it's like a known quantity in the Nintendo world, but having it come to Switch 2 so early after like Mario Kart, it's like, oh, we're building out the repertoire here, which is to me really, really exciting. And there's been a lot of like very, very hype announcements that have got me individually going. Like Yoshi and the Mysterious Book, I think, is a great example as well, where not many people were super hyped for Yoshi and the Mysterious Book. I like that game. It's like a 8, maybe for me, a 7.
Yeah.
But it's a good weirdo game. It's a Switch 2 exclusive. It's a new Yoshi game. That gets me hyped up that they're still doing weird stuff like that and that they did it so soon with the Switch 2.
Mm-hmm. Jordan, what about you?
I want to follow that real quick, just adding like, it's so nice to see that they're still doing those little freako weirdo games that historically may not sell that well in the current climate that we're in, where that's usually punished with like 1,000 layoffs, but instead they're like, we'll just cut our losses and just try again in another 6 years or 8 years or whatever it is. But yeah, overall, I've been really generally happy with the directs. Again, as being somebody now who is limited to either basically Steam / PC gaming or the Switch 2, that means that either there were experiences that I never did get to play, like Final Fantasy VII Remake, or there were games that I really, really adored and miss playing and are now coming to me. And so, like, I mean, I think it was maybe the partner direct, I want to say, maybe from like September, where they announced both Tales of Arise, Beyond the Dawn Edition, and Jake's favorite title in the history of the world, Grand Blue Fantasy Relink Endless Ragnarok, both coming to Switch 2. And like,
Christ.
I played the hell out of both of those games on PS5. I actually have the Tales of Arise is one of my like dozen platinums because I like adore that game so much, and now I was just putting some more time in a Switch 2 version earlier today. So being able to see all of the third-party support come through, I do sympathize with folks like Patrick and plenty of others who are getting frustrated with how much time is being allocated during directs, or even an entire partner direct of like a 30-minute thing straight of only third-party things, and half of it's stuff that you've already played from 3 years ago or 4 years ago or even longer. But again, as you've touched on before, like just the absolutely abysmal third-party output and support for the Switch 1 for the longest time.
Yeah.
And then coupled with just it not being a powerful enough console to have day and date releases with a sometimes even a PS4 and an Xbox One, let alone a PS5 and a Series console.
Yeah.
Seeing those be day and date, or get like 3-4 months later they get the port. Again, maybe it's Star Wars Outlaws isn't quite as visually stunning on my Switch 2 as it was on my PS5, but it plays still very, very well. And so that kind of stuff really gets me more excited than I feel like it gets a lot of people excited, which I do understand, but it's
like with you not having the ability to play, like you said, the games that you love, or also just like games that typically you would have played on a PlayStation or an Xbox, like an Onimusha or a Pragmata,
Yes.
like these kinds of games that you could also play on the PC, but now you have the console ability as well, so like that, I see that side of it as well. And I'm in a privileged position that most of those games I've either played somewhere else, or I am, going to choose to play them on the thing that's going to look better and run better, even though it's like not that considerably better. But I think, you kind of nailed my argument on the head of like, it's a bit tiring when, like we have 40 minutes to get through a direct, and like 15 to 20 of those minutes is seeing stuff that we've either seen at a State of Play, an Xbox showcase, a Summer Game Fest. And it's just like such a known quantity. It's great that it's coming to Switch 2, but I do feel like I really look forward to like next year's Nintendo Directs when we have caught up to bringing Star Wars Outlaws, bringing Assassin's Creed Shadows, bringing those kinds of games that we don't have to catch up on Cyberpunk and all these things. Because, again, it's great that they're there, but I'm more interested in hearing about the Rhythm Heavens, the Ninjala 2s, like these like weirdo fucking games
Right,
that
yeah.
you're not going to see somewhere else. Because honestly, like that... even though that is like a detractor for me in a lot of the year one directs for the Switch 2, I think for the most part, even though the Summer Game Fest's direct was, I think, one of the weaker showcases of the four of the big ones, I think for the most part, the directs have been very strong in the first year of Switch 2 and have given us a very good insight into what to expect. Like, I mean, when we went through that list earlier in the show about like what's coming up for Switch 2, it's a really strong list. And so that I feel like Nintendo is still kind of the best of the big three of giving us an idea of what's coming soon in a big way. Only thing that I would maybe put ahead of it is the developer showcase or developer direct for Xbox when we're like diving deep on just like a handful of games. Right. But they're a very, very different product.
And like I do think that it was
I can't
so
believe
weird.
how divisive that. I can't believe how divisive that Nintendo Switch that Nintendo Switch direct was at Summer Game Fest. We recorded after that, and I feel like I was red hot on it. You weren't, Patrick, if I recall correctly.
Yeah.
And I thought like I wouldn't like be in the majority here, but I think a lot of people were kind of like, it's not so much for me.
Yeah,
I think some of it is like,
I loved it.
it appeals to my specific interests again. Like, Zelda is massive for me. Xenoblade is massive for me. Wii Sports is fun. Fire Emblem is day one. And then the big like exclusive swings that they took with basically like that trifecta of crazy Final Fantasy, Kingdom Hearts, Square Enix announcements were really dope. All the stuff getting ported for Kingdom Hearts 4, and then Final Fantasy Resonance being like really, really highlighted there was, I think, like an interesting thing to see one of the biggest third-party publishers kind of choose outside of, we had the deep dive on Revelations. Holy fuck.
Wow.
I can't remember the subtitle of the third Final Fantasy game. They should have gone with my pick for the R word. I think that was the way to go.
Rephrase that.
But it's phrased properly. I really think that it's interesting that Square Enix chose to camp out at the Nintendo Direct. And I think that's a good sign for things to come. But, as far as year in review goes, I generally am in the same boat of like, it's a lot of playing catch up. It is a lot of like, okay, well, all that stuff is really cool, but we also got to check out Stellar Blade and Final Fantasy 16 and Devil May Cry 5. And
yeah, I mean, to talk about that direct specifically, I feel like when you look at a list, I think it is objectively very impressive. You've said most of them. Some of the things that you skipped, the Duskbloods, Rayman Legends Retold, Orbitals, we saw, which like we've seen it several times. We saw Splatoon Raiders, Star Fox. Like it was on paper, the titles are very, very strong. I think it's the context around them in that they showed us Kingdom Hearts 4 again, but there wasn't even a year, and it was very similar to what they've shown us before. They showed us an Ocarina of Time remake, but they showed us basically nothing. And like that, I feel like I could pick apart most of the things that are on that list from my perspective of like why it didn't sit as high as they typically do for me. Because also I feel like historically the Switch or the Nintendo showcase in E3, Key 3, whatever 3 it is, typically I feel like Nintendo is on the high end for me. So part of it maybe was just unfair expectations. And again, comparing it to that, like typically that week is like the hypest shit. And they did deliver some hype shit for sure. They do have me very excited because something that we haven't really touched on at all is the game specific directs of like, 15 minutes on Donkey Kong Bonanza, 20 minutes on Star Fox, what those kinds of things. They're like, we gotta be getting one for Ocarina, right? Like that feels like a pretty safe one. And if not only on Ocarina, we're getting a Zelda 40th anniversary or whatever the year is, which is exciting to know that we can kind of expect that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the Zelda one is definitely a given coming up if they do, because they have a Splatoon one scheduled right now.
That's right.
If Air Riders got 2 last year, so Sakurai could show you that it's a 2-button game.
Fucking sick.
I don't think we can use Air Riders
epics.
as an example because Sakurai does whatever Sakurai wants.
Yeah, I just meant like if Air Riders got 2, then Ocarina of Time's going to get at least 1. At least
I hope so.
I do think that like what you're saying though for this most recent direct specifically, even if I did vibe with it more in line with Jake, it was kind of strange because they did the Nintendo thing that they always do of waiting until last intentionally before they reveal that it's even happening, let alone actually showing the presentation itself. And so by the time we saw, Onimusha wave the sword, we'd already seen it like 3 times.
Right.
And so the 4th time we saw it was just confirmation it was day and date, which again, for me I was like, oh, that's kind of cool that I have options now, kind of a thing. But yeah, it does. It's like fatigue. And I had that same, this isn't a Switch 2 game, sadly. I hope it will be eventually. But like, I had the same thing happen with them having this incredible trailer for Control Resonant during the State of Play. Mm-hmm. And then like 4 days later, they had another trailer during Summer Games Fest. And I was like, I don't even want to watch this because I don't want to see any more of this game. It's like my front runner for potential game of the year for me, and like I want to go in somewhat blind. So it's like at a certain point you just start kind of hitting fast forward.
For sure.
There's arguments for those too, though, because I think it behooves certain games to get those deep dives, and other ones it is like a detriment of like, okay, well, I don't want to see this much. And I would like assume if I was a huge like Xenoblade Chronicles fan going into Xenoblade Chronicles 3, I would have not watched that Xenoblade Chronicles Nintendo Direct. However, when I was searching for an RPG to play at a time where I had a lot of free time in my life, and I was able to watch this 20-minute deep dive into Xenoblade Chronicles 3, I watched that and I was like, holy fuck, that's sick. And I think that happened to a lot of people in this first calendar year with, again, asterisk, Switch 1 game, but launched during the Switch 2's first year, Tamagotchi Life.
Yeah.
That 20-minute fucking direct was so sick and so informative and so funny. And it launched like Nintendo posted instructions of how to create Hugh Morris, like the character that was predominantly featured in the Tamagotchi Direct, the clown man that everyone was falling in love with, like on their social media platforms after the fact. It was so impactful and successful, and people latched onto the things being shown in this game preview. And then before we move on from Nintendo Directs, I want to mention the very strange enigma that was fucking the Star Fox Direct last month.
Yeah.
What the
I think the
fuck?
first shadow dropped direct we've ever had, I think.
They gave us 12 minutes warning. They were
That
like,
was
join us at 6
hysterical.
p.m. in a few minutes.
Do you think that their socials team like didn't schedule a tweet maybe potentially?
No.
Because that feels so
there
strange
was that
to me
weird
still.
thing. Oh, this is actually a really interesting one too. It's something that we haven't talked about here is Pokemon Leaf Green and Fire Red. Because there was an issue with like tweets and timing for that as well
right,
that people
there was.
theorized, where like everything seemed like it popped like a week early and there was no impact, and all of a sudden it was just like a game coming out right before like Pokemon Day and all that. Was that Switch 1 and 2, or is that just Switch 2?
Switch 1 and 2 because it's on the or no, it's not a
No, it's standalone
expansion
product.
pack, but yeah, no, I think that's both. I'm pretty sure.
Okay. But
I don't think there's a
nonetheless-
Switch 2 version, if that's what you're asking. There's no Switch 2 version of it. It's just like
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can play on both.
No, I think
yeah.
that Star Fox thing was an experiment. I think a lot of the Star Fox thing that's happening right now is an experiment. I think that game is an experiment at
Like
its
their
price
character
point.
models.
I would say so.
that new
and-
poster they showed today is sick as hell. Have you
haven't
seen
seen
that?
it. No,
Yeah, it looks like a movie poster, right? It has like their names at the top. Is that the one you're thinking of?
Yeah. Yeah, where it's like this, like,
yeah,
yeah,
right.
it's awesome.
Very dope. But there's been rumors behind the scenes about Nintendo restructuring their Nintendo Directs, and I believe that from the Nintendo Direct that we just had on June 9th, 10th or something like that.
69.
Prior to that, the last like main Nintendo Direct was September of the year prior. So I believe this was the lightest ever calendar year for Nintendo Directs, like Nintendo Direct propers, in a really long time. They skipped their big February show that they typically have, because they typically do 3 a year.
Interesting.
Yeah, because they usually do like a February, a summer, like a June-ish or late May, and then they do a September. And there wasn't one this year. There was a Pokemon Presents, obviously. There was like a partner direct. I think there was an Indie World showcase. But was there a regular general direct?
To your point, Jake, like they did the same thing last year, because in the course of prepping to just remind myself of what these directs were, I realized that last year they actually did not do a full-on direct during Key 3. They did the Bonanza direct.
Yes. Yeah,
there
that's
was
right.
there was the April 2nd big old showcase direct, and then there was Bonanza, and then there was September. So like, yeah, they are definitely playing with what they usually what they used to do as far as their cadence there.
Yep. You can't
So
read
you were
into
asking
the
about
history of Nintendo
February
Directs.
of this year if there was a direct? There was a partner showcase on February 5th, and then there was a Pokemon Presents on February 27th.
Good call.
Yeah.
Good call.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Wikipedia, man. They have everything. except
Hell of a drug.
We haven't talked about. We haven't even mentioned. I mean, again, this is like a coming soon thing, but have we even mentioned Pokemon Wind and Waves a single time?
no, I think that's a great segue into what's still missing. I think in ways we've talked and touched on a lot of them. Things like getting to that point where we're caught up on the third party games coming. Things like the first party games that are missing in some capacity, or like the killer app, Pokemon Winds and Waves. I think might be
That counts.
the first killer app.
I think so.
That we'll be getting, which we don't have a date yet. I bet if Ocarina comes this
Zelda.
year,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. That'll be probably the first killer app. But Winds and Waves is, I mean, if there are still people out there that have been holding off on the Switch 2, most of them will probably come with Pokemon Winds and Waves. Because also, I didn't mention, but in the chat way long ago, Chunklet Mongu mentioned like one of the games, a Switch game that saw a huge update on Switch 2 that he put a lot of time into was Pokemon Scarlet and Violet.
Oh, that's right. Yes, yes.
Like that one got a huge update. So in terms of like working better.
That was
So-
one of those the free patches things that I kind of
yeah.
offhand mentioned. Yeah, it was like Pokemon was two of them.
But yeah, so Winds and Waves, supposedly 2027, which I think is probably a safe assumption that they will hit 2027. But what's the hype level on that from you guys at the moment?
So high.
Yeah.
I need
Yeah,
Bonbon.
pretty-
I will die for that thing. I will kill for that thing. I will not Twitch. I will. That was a joke. I won't do it.
What are the 3 stars? Do you know all of them?
Froakie? Or that's an old one.
No, that's an
So
old one.
that is like probably 15 years old.
I'm trying to think. Oh, no, it's like it sounds like Gecko.
Brout.
Brout,
Right.
Because he has the brow and he's
Yeah.
Yep.
Pombon,
Brout.
and then
And what's the gecko one?
Gleek. I don't know.
No, those
Is
are
that Gecko?
those are the losers
man.
like me that watched Glee in the 2000s.
Wait, it has like Aqua. It's like Gekwa.
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 Which is going to be my
Gekwa's
starter.
gonna be because you know why? That's gonna be the Gooner starter, dude. That
For
thing's gonna
sure.
have fucking crazy hips and curves, and it's gonna have big tits.
Yeah,
Serious
Gecko
story
third
said that
will be a
fuck-ass
diva as fuck. Exactly, the fuck ass Gecko third evolution is going to be diva as fuck.
Do y'all remember?
Yeah,
Was it
for sure.
Salazzle? Is that the name? There's that like fire salamander that like only evolves as a female, and it's like the most egregiously like shapely salamander
yeah.
I've ever seen in my life.
Sure, yeah.
A lot bunny like.
I'm excited for Winds and Waves. I'm like sometimes I am so fucking in on Pokemon, and sometimes I couldn't care less. Some speak to me, some don't. I'm waiting for more on Winds and Waves, but what we have seen so far, I mean, it looks fucking gorgeous, and
Yeah.
I love how much water is in that game, and it looks really, really good.
Yes.
What else though? So we have, in terms of the list that I went through earlier, just to go through that one more time real fast. Splatoon Raiders, Fire Emblem, Fortune's Weave, Star Fox we're about to get, Switch Sports Resorts, one resort, Orbitals, Dustbloods, Ocarina of Time Remake, Xenoblade Chronicles, Genesis, and Pokemon Winds and Waves. Waves and Winds. What am I missing from that? Like, that is what we have. Like, what don't we have that we want? 3D Mario, obviously.
Yeah.
Anything else
Mario.
that comes to mind?
I'm gonna be controversial and say I kind of prefer
This motherfucker
2D
says
Mario.
Metroid.
2D Mario. That's what I was gonna say.
Oh, interesting.
I'm not.
I don't know that that's controversial, but I disagree.
Yeah.
So there's
'cause I just,
controversy
like,
between us.
Yeah, there's battling, there's
Mm-hmm.
scratching. I just put so much time into Wonder, and then it's like, yeah, exclamation point kids, fuck all y'all. My kid like basically 100% of Super Mario Wonder on his own, like with very little assistance from me.
Yeah.
Sure, it was as Yoshi, but that's still really tricky to do. So good on you, kid. So watching him be able to do that was really fun. But like, there's something about, I don't know what it is, honestly, about the 3D Marios. Like, I really loved Odyssey, but there's something about it where like I don't enjoy the replay as much for the 3D Marios as I do the 2D.
That's fair. Odyssey is the first of the 3D Marios that I have never fully replayed again. Something about Odyssey on a replay, I can't get very far.
Yeah,
I just
yeah,
I
I don't know.
replayed
This is
Odyssey 3 years ago, and it was fucking sick.
really.
I bet it
Oh.
was. I believe you. I trust you implicitly.
I like Mario Wonder a lot, but at the same time, I don't love Mario Wonder. I feel like in some ways they took a big swing, and in other ways they didn't take a big enough of a swing. I wish that art style was a little bit more distinct. I think if you show the average person an image of Mario Wonder and New Super Mario Brothers U next to each other, they won't think that that's a different art style. Like they literally just like look the fucking
I can
same.
see that.
And I wish that we got something that looked like. We talked about this when we were theorizing, what's going to come in the future of Mario stuff, like before I think Wonder was even, well, that's not true. But I wanted to see something that looks like the artwork that you see on like Mario Brothers 3 or like Mario World, where like just make my Mario look like that. It doesn't have to be a 3D crazy hand-drawn art style thing. Be something pretty.
Yeah.
I hear that. I think that like what really drew me to feel so much wonder while playing Wonder was just how off the wall insane they got with all the Wonder Flower shit for like to have every single level, which I mean I forgot to count how many levels there are, but like every one having its own like spin on like warping the level or the gravity or whatever else is like you never knew what you're gonna get.
See, that's where I don't like. Actually, that's
really?
where I don't like. Is what I said. I feel
Words
like
are hard.
I feel like they didn't deliver the promise of Super Mario Wonder. I feel like there are 5 levels in Super Mario Wonder that make me feel like I'm on acid. And that's it. And like so many of them, what like the Wonder Flower does is just so not interesting. Or like it doesn't feel like it actually does a whole lot. Because if from my perspective, every level was like those 5 levels that I think are fucking fantastic, it would be like my favorite Mario game ever made. But it just, for me, I feel like in a different way from what you're saying, Jake, I feel like I agree that they didn't swing hard enough. That I wish that it was like the weirdest fucking Mario game that has ever existed. And I feel like it is a Mario game that like took a couple chances, which I'm glad it took a couple chances, but
played the DLC for that, the Bell Park stuff?
I have not.
I think maybe I have a little bias here because that's the most recent iteration of Mario Wonder that I've played. But those are basically set up where there's 8 brand new. There's more content than this, but the stuff that I focused on is like basically there's 8 brand new levels scattered about where you fight each of the Koopalings are now in the game. So you go and you fight Iggy or Lemmy Koopa or whatever. And when you go there, you do a regular platforming level that doesn't have a wonder thing because the wonder thing is on the boss. And then each of those bosses is like this new stupendous fucking mechanic, which is actually very rad. Like they hit way more than they miss, and they're some of the best 2D Mario boss fights that I've ever played. I don't think 2D Mario boss fights are anything to like write home about typically, and these ones truthfully are. There's like memorable ones, like Morton turns into a ship. Like it's cool stuff.
Oh, that's cool. D-Guns in the chat says 2D games, also hi D-Guns, 2D games probably have a limit on how much they can make you truly feel wonder, only so much that can be done. I don't agree because I saw them do some truly wondrous stuff in some of those levels. And I feel like and like, it's a tough pedigree to always be reinventing yourself, but Nintendo historically does a very good job of reinventing the games that's why Mario continues to be so fucking special. Same with like Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, in terms of what they've done with Link. They've done this so many times with franchises that they've taken something that we love, added some new, you could call it a gimmick, but it's so fucking cool and interesting that it makes it so different and fun and cool. So I do feel like if anyone could do that, it is Nintendo and Mario. But
I wonder,
maybe I'm holding them to too high an expectation.
No, I think about Mario Wonder has cool things, but like I don't know if I can think of like a single effect that happens on the Wonder Flower in like the regular game. Now after all these years. Now granted, my memory's not so good, but you know what I do remember is I remember the new Super Mario Brothers U level that looks like a Vincent Van Gogh painting.
Yes.
Do you guys remember that?
Yes.
I didn't. Play
It's one of the coolest like visual changes that happens in any Mario game because truthfully, visual changes don't happen that often in Mario games. I think my like perfect Mario 2D platformer that could come out in like 2028, 2029 would be a 2D Mario game that just plays exactly like Mario World or Super Mario Brothers 3 or New Super Mario Brothers U. Like any 2D Mario kind of looks and feels the same way, but have it go through different like eras. Give us that old school like 2D style from original Mario Brothers. Give us Mario Brothers 3. Give us one that looks like Paper Mario. Go extravagant and have it look like the most photorealistic level that we've ever seen. Like, take chances, have fun with the art style. Give me 8 different worlds that look distinctly different in their art styles, and I would have probably the best Mario experience that I could
That'd
possibly
go
have.
fucking crazy. Like Dreams meets Mario,
Yeah.
kind of.
Now, Switch 2 Paper Mario is going to go hard whenever that comes out.
I still want a Paper Mario Kart. That'd be so fucking sick.
I'll take a Paper Mario game that's just as good as the first 2 at any point. Like, I don't know why they can't just get that right, but every single one of them is like, now you fight on a fucking wheel. Like,
Right.
Like,
I was really, because Super Mario Maker is a very cool game and very cool concept. It's the second one as well. I was always disappointed that they never took it further and just like made a full fucking game. Like basically what you exactly just described, Jake, of like, instead, don't let us make it. You make it. That's your job, not mine. But, I'm just here fucking saying, give me more, give me more.
yeah.
Now, to play into Jake's expectations from earlier, I am excited to see what they do with Metroid for the Switch 2. But we don't have to linger on that. We can just...
We can linger as long as you want. I mean, when do you think, like, legit, when do you think the next Metroid is that's new? Because it took
could see it,
95 years last time.
Yeah, I think I've said this before in the Discord, but my thought process is that Retro Studios, I don't think would have agreed to come in and clean up the mystery devs mess for Metro Prime 4 and then just walk out the door and do something else later. Like, I think that there's probably something there where they were not only cleaning up and putting it as right as they could, but they were also laying the groundwork to continue development into 5 and 6.
Yeah.
Or just 5 or whatever else. Because, like, without spoiling it, yes, of course, it's a modern game, so the ending of 4 does set up that the story can continue for the next game. Shocking, I know. So, like, I would not be at all surprised if it is revealed that it's coming soon, like next year, that they reveal it. I don't know about... I think it's not impossible for it to come out next year, but more likely 28.
Sure.
I don't think they want another, 18-year turnaround between
there's
games.
no way.
There's no way it'll survive that much. But and then of course it's been 5 years, almost 5 years since Dread came out, and again there's still more to the story that can be told for how that game ends and what's next for Samus after that, and the 2D space, which again, like, Dread is one of the weird outliers that not only does not have a Switch 2 version, but doesn't even have like a free patch for like a Switch 2 performance. So like, yeah, the load times are slightly quicker and that kind of a thing, but like, they could really, really, I mean, especially with what we've seen from games like the new Castlevania coming out this year, like, and games like Mio and Nine Souls. Like, there are so many games in that same kind of 2D Metroidvania space that are doing some incredible things as far as the art direction and like really, really making, pushing the graphical capabilities of what you expect from a game like that. So I'm excited to see what they can do for a 2D game as well.
I think there's been nightmares at Mercury Steam for the last couple of years, hasn't there? Like,
they came out with Blades of Fire to... I mean, they weren't like terrible, but they were like, it's like, like a 7.
Well, I've never heard of it, so that's a pretty bad situation.
Yeah. I played like a demo of it and I was excited for it, but then I wasn't. Like, I had drafted it for our fantasy critic, played the demo, then dropped it. Like, so I was like, oh, this isn't going to end well. I think it scored in like the low 70s. It wasn't like a complete failure, but it didn't sell too well. I think they just did like a relaunch situation like within the past couple of weeks. But I think that they've also been hit with layoffs because of all that. So, whether it's actually Mercury Steam that does it, that's a good question.
Yeah, I was going to say that I
That
feel
might
like
just be an explanation for why.
Sure. I was going to say, I feel like my explanation was going to be they don't have the time to do the patch because they're working on Metroid Dread, but then I just found out that they released a bullshit game last year. So, maybe it's that. I don't know, but that's a bummer that after such a high-regarded game from the people that care that they would go on to make a shit game. That's surprising to me.
hard to develop a game when you're busy jerking off to Samus, you know?
Which, speaking of, Dumpster Boy has a great idea for the next Mario Kart in the chat. He said, "Give me the Mario Kart where Mario cranks his hog and his Harley." Which,
What a
could be
segue
something.
from chat. Is it time to talk about the nightmare that is year one of Mario Kart World post-launch?
Yes, I think let's do that. I am one of my biggest misses of Summer Game Fest week. I can't fucking believe it's been over a year and there hasn't been a single new piece of content for Mario Kart World. And don't get in the fucking comments and be like, they added another kind of race to the fucking Battle Royale. or
Knockout
whatever.
Tour has 24.
That's not what I'm fucking talking about. I'm talking about Donkey Kong and Pauline still have 2 fucking costumes. Huh? There's not a single new course. There's not a single, like, I'm so shocked at the fumble of Mario Kart World. I'm a Mario Kart fucking freak, and I have not played that game in like 9 months.
Yeah, I feel like it was one of those things where everybody, including everybody present here today, assumed, oh, okay, they were just kind of keeping their cards close to the vest because they were keeping Pauline's presence and Bonanza kind of, close to the chest for the first little bit. And now we're going to get new costumes. And then we didn't.
Yeah, and Deegan says maybe it's not a live service game. I mean, sure, but
If it's
there's
Neither was Mario Kart
precedence.
8, though.
Right, that's
Yeah.
that's my point. Is that like there's
if it's
precedence
not a
that they do
live
that
service
shit.
game, then that decision was made after it launched. Like that game was built as a live service game. Like that game was built to have additional content. There's costume unlocks and character unlocks built into the functionality. There's an open world that you could expand on. Like there's a lot of opportunity for that game to grow. And I assume it will grow. Unless this year of silence is because they are scrapping plans for DLC for it and going back to the drawing board to create a follow-up game, Mario Kart World 2 or whatever Mario Kart 10 would be. 10? 11? Whatever. Either way, I think the issue is that I do think that there's a core issue we haven't talked about in a long time, but I think there's a core issue with the gameplay of Mario Kart World. I think that game is way too fucking sweaty, and they have possibly made like a product that's not great on replay for like the long haul for the casual gamer.
Sure,
I have a
And that
question
might
for you
impact
guys.
their decision to move forward with DLC for it.
very well could. Jordan.
That's true. My question for you all is, I've wondered about the potential for DLC for that game after. I'm not here to argue one way or the other as far as this, but the price point of being like the first MSRP $80 game in the modern generation. I wonder if that was their intent from the beginning was, okay, we'll have some, paid DLC packs come out, but then to see the response of, people bundling the game with the Switch 2, not only because they wanted to play it, but also because they could save $30. You know what I mean? So like, I wonder if that had any impact on it. Like if they decided to kind of hold off on any DLC because they didn't want to charge for it, and not charging for it didn't make sense for the time it would take to create it.
Yeah, that could certainly be a reason, but then I don't know. I worry maybe because it's selling so fucking always that we're the vocal minority and people don't give a shit, and people are because they'll see the data of play hours. Maybe a lot of the kinds of people that don't listen to podcasts about video games are putting nonstop hours into this. Maybe families are all fucking over this game. I don't know, but it's like I'm surprised that for a company that historically didn't really fuck with DLC until the Switch, in which they started fucking with DLC heavy for
Immediately.
that
With Breath of the Wild.
I'm so surprised that they're not doing this. Deegan says, I think our expectation for multiplayer games have been skewed because of live service. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe did not get its DLC till 5 years later, which I know there are explanations for. Yeah, but I don't know. I feel like there is a difference between live service and a game with DLC. And I feel like I agree with Jake that the way that they pitched Mario, even though they never said it's live service, the way that they talk about the game, the way they showed the game when it was announced and launched, and like you said, the way you unlock characters, and like it's so, I don't know. I don't necessarily think I agree with the thought that, well, Donkey Kong and Pauline only have 2 costumes because that's all we could think of. It's like, no, because there has to be a plan for more. There's no fucking way. Even if like maybe Pauline doesn't fall into this bucket, but Donkey Kong, one of the most beloved Nintendo characters, how can you only have him in his tie and in like a football uniform, like, or whatever that like battle armor is?
I think it was like maybe like it's supposed to be like a race outfit.
Right, but like what?
But either way-
Nintendo's allergic to the fucking bag. Like, you should be charging $5 for like a Halloween set of costumes that makes Luigi have like vampire features. Like, it's fucking insane in 2026 that they're leaving that on the table. The only reasonable explanation for no DLC thus far, to me, is if they come through with something very, very impressive in the very near future, and the thing is like supported in a big way, or they're putting their resources into Mario Kart World 2 or another game to release in a reasonable time frame on this console generation, which I think could be an interesting thing too. They can charge $80. Mario Kart World is the best-selling game on Switch 2, and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is the best-selling game on Switch 1. I feel like, why not have 2 fucking Mario Kart SKUs on one console? They tried it with Home Circuit. It didn't go that well. That one has like a
such a different
massive
thing, though.
asterisk on it. Yeah, for sure.
Here's a question: has there ever been 2 Mario Karts in one console generation?
No.
There's no way we don't get another one
That's
until
insane.
Switch 3, right?
There's no way.
Especially
because
it's
they-
possible.
there
I
is
don't
no
know. It
precedence
depends
for
on how
this.
much. The thing is about Mario Kart World, like when we talked about that game, and we talked about it extensively in the first couple months of like the Switch 2 being out there, and a lot of what we talked about was it's got good bones. Like, I want more Mario Kart. Like, I'm already okay. Like, I'm already over what we have to play right now. I need more. I need support. The people yearn to kart. Like, I feel like we need to have more support there, or they're leaving money on the table. And it opens up a broader conversation, if you guys are down for me to yet again move the needle here a little bit.
Move it.
On DLC as a whole, we have to talk about Smash Brothers, because
Sure.
that is really the catalyst for like Nintendo's move towards DLC over the past couple console generations. DLC for Smash Brothers, the fact that they have not recaptured the magic of DLC announcements at Nintendo in any way since Smash Brothers, not even Ultimate, I guess, is mind-blowing to me. That was such a main event where you could have a Nintendo Direct, and the best thing that happened during that Nintendo Direct was they announced your new favorite character as DLC for Smash. And what's missing on the Nintendo Switch 2? Super fucking Smash Brothers.
Yeah. I mean, there have been so many rumors about potentially bringing like Smash Ultimate to Switch 2 and just having it be that game, but, you know, souped up or whatever, or like a new version of that that's not called Ultimate, but
Penultimate.
exactly. I've not locked in on Smash. I'm not like tuned into what people care about and want, so I'm the wrong person to be theorizing, but I do feel like, even like, you know, it's Sakurai that does it, and Sakurai's been spending so much time on Kirby Air Riders. I feel like we probably do get Smash by 2030, but I wouldn't expect to see it soon, right? Because they're not going to give it to anybody but Sakurai, right?
I don't know. The Sakurai pretty publicly said he doesn't want to do fucking Smash anymore.
Right.
Now, when you
For
are
$100 million,
Nintendo and
That's
you
too
have
damn
nothing
bad.
but absolute cash available, again, theorizing here, one for me, one for you. You make our Smash Brothers Ultimate, we let you make Kirby Air Riders, you do another Smash for us. You know, then maybe we can talk about Kid Icarus after you're done with that Smash, Sakurai. But
Dickerus? What?
I think so.
He's a kid.
I don't know. I don't know what to make of what's next for Smash, because it has to go in one of two directions. There's only two feasible outcomes here. It's you either do Ultimate, Nintendo Switch 2 edition. Everybody is back. It's the same game, but there's another 2 rounds of DLC, basically. Everyone is joining. We're getting... Who's
Four
who the fuck
more
is missing?
characters or
Crash
whatever.
Bandicoot, Waluigi,
Reggie and
Satoru Iwata's ghost.
Iwata. Fuck.
The little flower prince from Mario Wonders is the new character.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
What
his name.
about can
Florian.
one of the fighters be the quote from Miyamoto about delaying a game? It's just like text.
Delayed game
that
is
says that.
forever.
It just forms a body. I love this.
Yeah.
But the other option is you have to reboot very drastically. A bunch of characters do not come back. You go back to a core cast of like 20 some odd characters. DLC once again. There's new characters, there's returning characters, but like visually and functionally the game plays significantly differently.
What does the Smash community think about and say, Jake, as it's member that is representing it in today's council about a game that is not directed by Sakurai? Like, are people up in arms? Are people freaking out? Or are people interested in something new because it would be something new?
I don't think people are that concerned with Sakurai from like the hardcore Smash fan. There's two different versions of them, because there's a very competitive Smash fan who thinks Super Smash Bros. Melee is the best Smash Bros. Game ever because it's a very sound fighting game that is fun to play and has stood the test of time. Then there's the other side that think the best Smash Bros. Game is Smash Ultimate because it has all of my favorite characters and a bunch of DLC and a bunch of things to play as, and it's the most modern and best looking one. And Sakurai, I think, has been huge for the fans of Ultimate, mostly. The ones that like the pop culture encompassing cast that he has created. His ability to work with other teams and sign these deals at Square Enix to get these characters into a first-party Nintendo game. Because it's been nothing short of miraculous what he's done there from that standpoint. I don't think Sakurai is depended on to make the tightest fighting game of all time.
Sure.
So from that standpoint, depending on which route they're going down, I could see it being either, if Sakurai directs, I think they go big again. I think they go for a massive cast with very interesting collabs and whatnot. And I think if somebody else takes over the reins, you get something that is like a tighter fighter with better online functionality and is inspired by Smash Brothers Melee.
I love the idea of a tighter fighter, Jake.
Me too.
D-Gun says, as
Say
a
that
major
again.
Smash fan, I would prefer they severely shrink the roster and reinvent it. I love Sakurai to death, but it could be done without him. Maybe he could advise, but not be super involved, which makes sense to me. And like maybe they bring in like Homeboy that is doing like Tokon Fighting Souls. I know it's a different fighting game, but like something like that, like someone in the FGC, the fighting game community, Jake. That
Fucking
has, like, a
Harada,
lot
dude,
of-
free
yeah,
agent.
someone with a lot of clout, like Harada. It's a great call. Like, I think that could be interesting. Like, what does it look like? Is Harada is Tekken? Question mark. What does it look like to take the guy that made Tekken and make him make a game with Mario, Peach, fucking Donkey Kong, and all that? Like, that'd be fucking awesome to me.
Yeah.
Be awesome.
Even, do you think that Nintendo would ever totally like reinvent it in such a way that it's like a 3D brawler or whatever?
Possible,
doubt it.
probably under like a different moniker or with like a drastically different subtitle or some kind of like asterisk there. I don't think the next game that sounds like this, like Super Smash Brothers, whatever, is going to be very much a 2D fighting game with a big cast. But I could picture them doing like a 3D. Again, this is retreading ground, which I fucking hate doing and I hate acknowledging, but here we are. Mario Kart World should have been Super Nintendo Kart or Super Smash Kart.
Sure.
They should have doubled down on that collab. They should have had Link in there. It's what they were going towards. If you look at the evolution of Mario Kart and where they went with Mario Kart 8 and the tracks that they were adding from different IP, the path was so simple to keep going in that direction.
Yeah.
I miss the
And
BMWs
to-
most of all.
Yeah, same. But instead we got, I don't know, step in the wrong direction is what it feels like right now, unless they fix that.
Listen, they gave you Pauline and
think it was
leather on a
Mercedes-Benz.
crotch rocket. You're okay. You'll be right.
Yeah. I'm satiated for a couple years.
I don't like when you say that word.
I love being satiated.
Nobody's satiated like Jake. I mentioned it earlier, but if you join the Discord by going to dropoutpod.com, we have a discussion question for each episode. And today's was the discussion question at hand, the Switch 2 year in review. I want to read a couple inputs, question mark, from people. Coal mines. Ergonomics are majorly improved over one. Exclusives are lacking thus far for my tastes, but third-party support is strong and will make this an appealing console for families who can afford only one device. Something we didn't talk a ton about is like how it feels. That, you know, we talked a lot about that back in the day when we reviewed the Switch, but I mean, to this day, it still feels so fucking good to be playing the Switch 2 with those sticks and with that Pro controller. We're about to get our first change of colors, the blue and yellow, but I hope we get
Second.
more than that.
We got a
Man,
purple
they're
and green.
fucking up.
Did we?
They're fucking up bad. What did the purple and green coincide with?
I don't know.
Donkey Kong or something?
No, I think it was maybe just like a random thing. Do either?
Why
you're
are
looking
they
that up-
so? averse to having like fun colors on this console. The little
agree.
like splash, like it's a tough sell for me to buy like a Nintendo Switch 1 Joy-Con that's a completely different solid color, much
Yeah,
less
dude.
this one that like they're just obsessed with this matte black and it's this tiny little splash of color. You can barely differentiate which one is which at this point.
It's a one of the huge misses for me, of like one of the few huge misses for me, where like I think about my Switch 1, I had like almost 10 Joy-Con. Like I think I had 8 or 10. Like I don't remember the exact number, but I had the watermelon variant. I had that like awesome purple and like deep yellow variant. I had the blue and red. I had the first Zelda like special edition,
Oh yeah.
and
Tears of the
then
Kingdom, maybe, or Breath of the Wild.
Breath of the Wild, and then
Skyward Sword, I think.
The Skyward Sword
no.
ones
Oh,
I
you know,
have,
no,
the
no.
blue and purple.
What it was? It was the Switch OLED came with the
Oh yeah.
Tears of the Kingdom ones.
Yeah.
Yeah,
White.
yeah.
Oh,
So maybe it was
yeah,
just
yeah.
the 8. Maybe I didn't have 10. But oh no, and then I had the oh no, that was the watermelon, the bright green and pink. So it's like, and I have no interest in buying. I've totally forgot about the purple and like powder blue that they did earlier in the year. And then now this like darker blue, darker yellow. It only being that like little sliver, it's just not interesting to me. Like I have no need for it. Whereas
So
usually I would buy it
fucking
because I
boring.
liked how it looked.
Yeah,
They
and I
they
mean,
pulled that from the Sony playbook of just having the most boring ass controllers possible.
Nintendo used to be so good at this. This is the consoles. This is the manufacturers who made the atomic colored Nintendo 64's controllers. You know what I mean? And consoles like the see-through purple and green and orange and blue that were so much fun. Then all the way to like the Wii, where you had the Mario, where it looked like his overalls in the back with the blue and the red in the front, and they had a Luigi
forgot
one and the
about that.
Bowser one and the Toad one and a Princess
Yeah.
Peach one. Like
Yeah.
really fun special edition controllers. The all gold Wii remote and nunchuck and classic
Yes.
controller.
So good.
Fantastic looking stuff from truthfully not all that long ago, 15
That was
years
the
ago.
Zelda one, right?
That was Zelda. Yeah, that was the
I had
original
that one.
Skyward Sword. Yeah, with Motion Plus that was bundled in. But now we're falling so far away. I don't know why. It's baffling to me that even on the Switch 1, where it had good colors and it had some interesting special edition controllers, no doubt. But like the fact that I can't get a Switch Joy-Con that has Mario's fucking face on it seems like such a miss, dude.
Yeah. And the amount of like
You can get a Power A controller that has it for some
I was
fucking
about to say
reason.
the amount of like third party feels like they were made by like recycled plastic that's about to fall apart. Like accessories you can get of like that, like a GameStop fucking Mario controller. It's like, I mean, it looks nice, but it's a piece of shit. Like I don't know how Nintendo's not making.
Do either of you still have your original Switch or an original Switch?
I do? Yeah. Well, not the original. I still have the Tears of the Kingdom OLED one.
Sorry,
I ditched my original for the OLED, and then I ditched my OLED a couple months ago.
Okay, sorry. I just meant any Switch 1 model is what I meant, but words are hard. Because, like, I mean, I wish I was exaggerating, but going from picking up a Switch 2, setting that down, and going and picking up my SWOLED, it feels like a child's toy. Like, the make of it just feels like it's about to fall apart at the breeze. It might actually. I haven't tested it out. I don't really take it outside much, but like it just the difference in like the heft and the quality is drastic for the Switch 2.
The only thing that doesn't feel as good to me, like I like the magnetic of the Switch 2, but I do. It does. I don't know if either of you have had this problem. Sometimes it just like comes off for me. Might be an issue with my Switch, but like sometimes if I'm like picking it up a certain way, it'll just like detach. And I never, obviously you couldn't have that problem with the Switch 1 or it would be broken because of the way that it was like slidden in. But it sounds like maybe there's something wrong with mine if that's not happening to you.
That
I
does
notoriously
literally never
haven't
happen
had
to
mine undocked very much, but I've still managed to get pinched by that fucking magnet thing like fucking 3 times probably in the last year. How many times you got pinched by your Switch 2?
At least once.
My fingers never.
Right.
Thank you.
That one,
How
that
about
one
your
sticks with you.
pussy?
Yeah. A couple other folks from the Discord. Our own Kayla says, unfortunately, I'm not playing my Switch 2 nearly as much as I wish I was post-launch. Disappointed emoji. It's probably just a personal preference thing, but majority of the time, if I have the option to play something on Switch or PC, I'll go with PC, which is why the first-party library would be what hooks me, but for some reason, it just hasn't. Though I'm really feeling the itch to get back and finally finish Donkey Kong Bonanza and play more Yoshi in the Mysterious Book. And Samson kind of shares that kind of disappointment with
Kayla
having
not
just
finishing the 4-hour Yoshi and the Mysterious Book is fucking classic. Dude.
classic. But Samson said, loving my Switch 2. I'll be real. First couple months after Mario Kart World worn off meant Switch 2 became my party game machine with games like Lego Party and Mario Party. Only recently I picked up Tamagotchi Life and I've been playing my Switch 2 constantly. So overall, it's like, it's been good but there was like a lull in the middle. Kind of, I had a similar lull as well. And then Sierra says, Switch 2 gets much more use out of me than the first, and despite the actual Switch 2 titles being somewhat lacking, the Switch library is massive. Plenty are receiving Switch 2 updates, and those that don't still have improvements as Switch 1 games run at docked quality in handheld, which is how I've played it for every game except for Bonanza, because the battery is simply ass, and I couldn't play for that long. So all in, it's a success to me.
Yeah,
Very,
handhelds
very
and
good.
batteries in general are just not really good bedfellows. Is that a thing
Sure.
people still say? Bedfellows.
No, but it's like fine that you said it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I will say,
Any
I
other
forgot to say
thoughts?
this. Yeah, thank you for asking, because I had one more quick thought about Mario Kart
about
World that I forgot to say earlier, which was that, like, I feel like it, at least for me, it's still one of those games where I played a good amount when it first came out, and I enjoyed it. And I may not go to it very often, but it's almost like an evergreen. You know, it's always still there, and it's still going to be fun when I do want to fire it up. Whether that's because I just want to drive around for a bit, or because somebody has come over and wants to play multiplayer or something like that. Like, I do like that it still has like that same evergreen quality of a Mario Kart game that you want it to have for when you want it to be there, as opposed to just like a game that you put your time into and then you just never want to touch it again.
Yeah.
So it still has that quality for me personally.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
I hope to go back to Mario Kart because I mean Mario Kart is like one of my favorite things in the world. Like not even just like gaming franchise. It's just such a fun thing to do. And maybe when I'm like in a place where I'm hosting things more and when I have a bigger space, maybe Mario Kart World will break its way through and I'll, have to get more Joy-Cons or whatever, but not yet. Not yet. Any other final thoughts, Jake? Anything that we didn't get to that you wanted to touch on the first year of Switch 2?
We should rate it.
Yeah, that's a great point. Gentlemen, it's been just over a year since the Switch 2 has been released. Give me a number, scale of 1 to 10. What do you think about the first year of Switch 2, Jake?
I'm going with, it's so safe, but I'm going with an 8 for me. I feel like if I was giving this like a score for an outlet right now, professional follow, drop in, drop out pod on all socials, I would give it like a 7 because
Okay.
there's some big gaps in massive first party releases with no big Mario, no big Zelda to anchor it. It's a little bit of a weak lineup, but if you're a little freako like I am, if you're a cozy gamer and you like Pokopia and Animal Crossing and Tamagotchi Life, there's a lot to enjoy.
Yeah. Jordan, what about you? Where would you rate it 1 to 10?
I think I wouldn't go any lower than a 9 myself. I think that for the directs as well as for the actual lineup that we've seen the first year, it's almost like where they almost hurt themselves by how successful like the first year was for the Switch 1 as far as some of the first party titles. Like if you look at first year output for other systems, you're almost never going to see like a consistent lineup of every time there's a first year, it's always going to be the big name games, kind of a thing that we're expecting from Nintendo. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing to expect it, but I'm just saying like, I kind of pull the lens back a little bit. I'm like, well, it's on par or better than everything else that we've been seeing for the past couple generations, in my opinion.
Sure.
And again, for me, for what I'm looking for in a step up is being able to play the same games I like to keep playing, but better. And also getting to experience some new stuff. And for my tastes, it's delivered on both fronts.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I think I'm in the middle. I would be like 8.5 on it, where I feel like comparing, like we were just talking about the hardware, it just feels so good. And the amount of games I've gotten to play on a console that just feels so much better than its predecessor, I feel like that alone gets it a little extra pointage for me. I do agree with points that of yours, Jake, that like there are some huge misses. So like I feel like year 2, I'm probably close to a 10, where there's still been some like Donkey Kong Bonanzas, and even though I don't love Mario Kart World launching with a Mario Kart, But for me, it's the Hades 2 editions. It's the Fantasy Life I, the Girl Who Steals Time editions. It's those like third party games that I just sunk my teeth into and had such a good time with that used to be PlayStation 5 my most played console by a fucking mile. Switch 2 has completely flipped that and it's by a mile now instead. So really loving the Switch 2 a year in, and especially knowing what's on the horizon
Yes.
has me even more excited for Switch 2. And like the thought that I'm considering playing something like Onimusha Way of the Sword there is, I feel like, a testament to the future that this console has. And something we didn't even really get into tonight is like, with it being cheaper than the other consoles and it having the third party support now, is there an argument that the Switch 2 is going to really like take a step ahead of the other two consoles? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. We're going to see. But so far, very, very impressed with the Switch 2. But you listening, you watching, let us know, what would you give the Switch 2 in its first year? Go to dropinDropoutPod.com. You can find all the things we're doing there. JK Games on Monday, Spotlight Games on Tuesday, right here on Drop In Drop Out. And of course, our Thursday podcasts right here as well, twitch.tv/DropInDropOutPod. We will be back so soon with more sweet, sweet content all about video games. Until then, click that follow, click that subscribe, join the Discord. We'll see you there. Until then, bye-bye.
Bye.